I'm going to talk about the us versus them mentality. We teach this a lot in our live programs all around the world. This is a very dangerous, very dangerous mentality. Okay, when you start thinking about us versus them, it divides people. So this is the video that is very strange to be doing at a protest. Of course, the protest is for Ukraine, where actually like 4 or 5 days ago in Canada it was illegal to protest. So it feels weird to even be doing a protest or a video out here. Thank God it's a protest. But in this video I want to talk about not just the war itself, because there's so many things that go into war that I can't comment on. I'm not a political expert. I'm not a economic policy expert. What I am is an expert in human beings and social dynamics. I've been studying it for 12 years internationally and teaching it around the globe, so I know a lot about that. So let's speak about the human dynamics of what's happening here, how this could have happened, and how you in your life as a person watching what's unfolding in Ukraine, you can make a decision about how you want to view the situation and view it not by biases, but by making intelligent arguments and decisions and looking at things, okay? So the first thing I want to talk about is what's going on. Obviously there is a part of people that are Ukrainian that are under attack, the citizens, but there's also part of the Ukrainian government, and then there's Russian people, and then the Russian government. And this is really a war that's by Putin and not really a war by the people, right?
Where people are waiting to get their weapons to fight the Russian invaders.
But you'll notice on one side the media will release things that are about how the people feel, and then the other side will release articles about how the other people feel. And this is really to put us against them. Now what's the danger of that in terms of social interactions? Well, typically I used to dating advice, and you go out to a nightclub dating advice and you try to talk to people and you think, oh, it's them, they are against us. I want to go and get that girl, but that guy's being mean, the guy's like, the group is against me and I got to steal the girl from the group of people. That's what we think about, and what happens is we turn other people to adversaries. When really, it's not about going up and having a social interaction and stealing the girl from the guy. It's about they're just normal people hanging out. But we create these opponents in our mind. We create these adversities in our mind. And this is a really horrible thing because it separates us from getting to understand other people and where they're coming from. And so in this situation, one of the things that will be very, very hard for you to do is not to say Putin's a bully. Now, of course, he might be. But it's really hard for you to say, no, he's just a bully, just dismiss all the needs of the Russians or the wants of the Russians, some of the Russian people. What I challenge you to do is see it from their perspective, see what they're going through. And that's going to require a lot of empathy. In my programs, I teach influence, which all this comes down to empathy. It comes down to understanding others, influence, leading, and being dominant in the right time. But try empathy here and understand, what is it that Russia really wants? Is Russia's goal or Putin's goal to intentionally hurt the Ukrainians for no reason? Or is there something that's motivating him? What it really comes down to is self-interest. Everybody acts in life through self-interest. And it doesn't mean that they are necessarily trying to hurt you. It means they're acting through what's best for them. So in a social interaction, you're in traffic, somebody cuts you off. It's like, well, that person cut me off in traffic, they're against me. Well, it's maybe not the case. Maybe they're just acting through their own self-interest to get somewhere. They're thinking about themselves first, right? One of the other things, you think about when it comes to protest is that it'll make a difference. But the people in power typically put protests as a tool in place to help with democracy. When democracy is not on the table, then protest doesn't matter that much, does it? It doesn't matter at all. What matters is who has the bigger guns, who has the most guns, and who has the ability to create violence. But the truth is, most of our societies were built on violence. The land was conquered on violence. Nations became nations built on violence. So we're trying to say to ourselves, peaceful protests, but at the same time, violence is what creates the nations. I challenge you to have a thought experiment here and think about, what is it that the other side wants, maybe the Russians. Well, oil is, I believe, someone will correct me on the numbers here, but I believe it's about 30 to 20% of their gross capita. Okay, and I believe they supply 40% of the oil for the rest of Europe. So let me go ahead and check those out. Check out those numbers, okay? Russia is supplying 40% of the oil to Europe, or gas, I believe, and then 20 to 30% is their gross GDP. Okay, so if that's the case, and Ukraine is right in the middle of it, they are feeling like through their own self-interest, they have to protect to their financial future. There's less and less men in that country. The population's getting older. They're having less babies. Financially, they're in a tight situation, and they feel like they've lost areas of the globe that belonged to them before. So through their own self-interest, right? If I was in support of Putin, or if I was in support of Russia, making this movement, I would say, well, we're losing our stuff, we're losing what we had, okay? We are financially getting pinched, and we're looking soft or embarrassed. Now, when you see it from that point of view, now you're in the position to negotiate. You can't just be like, he's evil. Right? You can't just like, Putin's evil. You gotta think about, what does he want? And how do you negotiate with somebody? Because the ultimate goal of anything is not to have a we versus us war. The ultimate goal is to say, where can we compromise as a world, as a globe? You cannot have peace, obviously, without compromise. You can't have a collaboration without compromise. You know, going back to the us versus them frame, back when I was teaching at my live events, that was the first part of an exercise. And then in the second part of the exercise, we do the exercise called We Are the Group, where I challenge everybody to get together, hold hands, and just say, we are the group, and see what happens. And the energy would be incredible. People would start jumping up and down. They'd be laughing and having fun in about 60 seconds, because we are the group is more of a higher vibration energy than, you know, us versus them. So when we're saying we are the group, you know, you guys think about, how can we find that we are the group universally? And that means really finding peace for the people that are in Ukraine and the people that are in Russia. How can we find a solution that is fair and equal and balanced and not rigid? That's really the question that we should be asking ourselves. One thing that's really on the line here as well is the idea of Western ideas and masculinity. And in a lot of sense, Western ideas are the opposite of masculinity. Western ideas are feminism, LGBTQ+. It is Black Lives Matter. It's everybody's inclusive. It's equal for everybody. And that idea, those ideas of the West, are not necessarily the ideas that are held in other countries, Far East, right? They have their own ideas of doing things in Asia, for example, right? It's an honor and respect culture. So we cannot force the ideas that we have on another group of people. And we could also not vilify them for having those ideas. And we'd also ask for them to not vilify us for our ideas that we had. So in conclusion, what do I want to say here, okay? If you're somebody that's watching this, I challenge you and I encourage you, when possible, rather than vilifying somebody, even though your vilification might be correct, think about, what is it that they want? What are their motivations? What are their self-interests? What are they trying to defend? Where do they feel threatened, okay? And it may be NATO or something like that. I'm not even going to go into the NATO situation there. But where do they feel threatened? And then you can understand the behaviors of people. You know, I don't think this war is going to end, just understanding human behavior. I don't think it's going to end with Ukraine. I think they're going to try to completely conquer Ukraine, because it makes them feel conquered. It makes them feel idealized in their logical ideas, and it makes them feel like they have a sense of accomplishment and sense of security. I think it's going to stop with Ukraine. I pray that it does. But who am I? I'm just a guy that, you know, studies human behavior. But I've lived in these cultures. I went to these cultures, and I've seen them internationally, and I've participated in these cultures, and I've worked there, and I know the people. And because of all that, you know, I really wish them the best. And I also think that this is just the beginning of something very much bigger and unfortunate. So keep your eyes open, keep your mind open, keep your heart open. Listen to people, understand what they want, and yeah, try to find a middle ground in any kind of conflict resolution situation. And that's what's important. That's for now. As always, keep in touch and don't be a stranger. Cheers.